Oh, that's a really good question. Oh, wow.
So just to put more pressure on this
Mm,
question, because we've talked about a lot about what you want to get,
mm,
but we haven't really talked about what you want to give. And the universe seems to have a good way of making us balance those two things. So
yeah,
if you can't, we'll talk about it now, but it might be something for you to work on as well
yeah.
after this.
I think I want to give people the experience that I had when discovering.
We are about to meet Chris. All we know about him is he is a male in his 20s who is signed up to the modelling agency I use, and we know what he looks like. We also, of course, know he is interested in life coaching. One of the things I'm finding interesting with this project so far is the fact I know nothing about the new coachees. I have no idea what their goals might be, so I have to be ready for anything. Chris might want to get into shape, or he might want to become a billionaire, or maybe he just wants to become a ninja. I too would quite like to be a ninja when I grow up, so let's assume it's that for now, because it probably will be. By the way, I'm not filming this in the dark for dramatic effect. I'm just running hopelessly behind on my schedule. So you just got to get it done when I can get it done. Behind me is a great view, but you can't see it, so unlucky. Anyway, let's watch the first half of this chat.
Hello. I'm so sorry about
Hello?
the background. I didn't know if this was the actual call or the test call.
So ideally it would be the actual call if you're up for that now, but if not, we
I
can
can be.
reschedule.
I can be up for that for sure. I just didn't. I was just wasn't sure. I got home late. I've not even been able to take off like my work t-shirt or nothing yet. Sorry. Um, I got.
Well, luckily, smell isn't recorded by this software, so we're all right on that front.
Yeah. All right, yeah, that's fine. I mean, if you don't mind the background, I'm happy to continue. But I can get a better background if you need me to. It'll just take me a couple of minutes just to go back upstairs and stuff.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah. Do that then. If you're just back home, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely, just do that.
I brought my laptop down just because it was private, but I could just sit in my corridor. Like it's not a stress. I can rearrange myself a little bit.
So, that background's
Yeah.
fine. Quite amusing, actually. So it's whatever you want. If you need a few minutes, then fine. But that background's no problem
I
at all.
will. I'll keep the background then. I might change my t-shirt just so my my EE logo's not in there. Give me like 2 minutes. I'll be right
Okay.
back. Okay. I won't even put down the phone because I'll be that
Okay.
quick in it. I'll be 2 seconds.
All right. Catch you in a bit.
Ah, hello again. I'm back.
Hey.
Oh, right.
So do you work for
I do
EE?
indeed. Yes.
Is that the mobile
Yeah.
phone? Are they mobile
Yeah.
phone?
Yeah.
So what do you do with them?
I'm just a sales advisor. So I just well, it kind of says it all in the name. To be fair, my official title is a guide. Um, but yeah, I'm just a sales advisor basically.
So is that in the shop and people come in and then
Yeah. All in the shop, all in person. Um, yeah.
and is that 9 till 5?
Not quite 9 to 5. I do 25 hours a week. Um, because I basically I took the job on the premise that I'd be able to do what I actually want to do, which is writing. So I kind
Okay.
of, I kind of took the job just like as a side thing. So whilst I'm writing my books and stuff like that. So
Um, so I guess that springboards us straight into goals and stuff because it's going to be writing related.
yes, definitely, yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, no doubt.
What kind of stuff do you
I'm
write or are you working on?
currently writing my first. Well, I've just finished writing the first draft. I say just. Like Christmas time, finished writing the first draft of my first book. Um, so I'm at the moment I'm kind of working on um redeveloping everything that was already there, kind of thing, and just working on, because I liked the story, but there was bits that I wanted in there that were just missing, and I just thought it'd be better to add them in. So I've kind of gone back to base, like to square one, because I started the project originally about 3 years ago, and it's kind of gone through a lot of different variations, and it's only recently that I've been able to kind of what's the word? It's only recently that I've been able to really like nail down every single point of what I actually want in the story. So yeah, it's taken me a while to. Oh, sorry, just to open the window a little bit. Yeah, it's taken me a long time to try and get into that kind of space now.
Hello.
Hello. Right, we're back. We're in it this time. Sorry about that.
It's funny because this is my third recording one in this batch. You're my third guinea pig.
All right, okay.
And I've been trying to do research on people in their 20s and get the vibe. But anyway, one of the things I'm learning is that people in their 20s do not have super fast computers and super expensive fiber optic connection and all that kind of stuff.
No.
So yeah.
You'd be surprised. The thing is, I'm not even using internet right now. I'm using my 4G on my phone. I'm just hotspotting it. Which is working better. It works better than my actual internet. I live in like an old like Georgian mansion, so we just don't get good internet at all. Yeah, it's pretty poor.
When we finish this, by the way, you need to leave whatever you're recording on. You need to leave it on until it's fully uploaded, because what this does is it just it tries to give us a good conversation, but more importantly than that, in the background it's loading it up to your computer and then loading up the internet.
Yeah, I do.
So that can take a while to finish.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's cool.
Right. And another point whilst we're on housekeeping is, if you say anything that you don't want in the video, then you can either say it right now as we go along or say later.
Yeah.
And before the edit of this goes out, you'll get to see what it's looking like, and you can be like, oh, I don't want that bit in. Or,
okay, cool. Yeah, wicked. Thank you.
Something like that. So you wrote a book which you basically finished around Christmas time, and now you're going through that material and just revising it and adding bits you wanted to add.
Yeah, I'm just going through like kind of doing like just the second, about to start the second draft properly. I've taken a bit. I realise that I work a lot better if I have means to work within. Like if I get given a plan, like I have to do this, and this to get here. I work a lot better doing that than I do like trying to just, because how I wrote the original one, which was like all the writing advice online, was kind of it was like just write, just get the first draft finished, get it done, and then kind of fix it out later. But for me, I think I need the structure, because I've got so many ideas constantly going on, even about the same story. I'll get 3 chapters down the line and something I wrote then, now I'm like, oh, I could go into this avenue, and then it just doesn't work for me. So I'm now having to give myself a real like a point-to-point structure to be able to write the book properly, which is draining the life out of me, to be honest with you.
Is it fictional?
It is fiction, yeah, fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting about the draining the life out, but I think so much of being successful it's going to sound super depressing, but it's box ticking.
Yeah.
It's like the inspiration and the crazy genius and the stuff that's helpful, but it's only whatever 10% or
if that.
less.
Yeah.
Which is not what we want to hear,
no.
but
it's like
that's.
I think it's because I wrote the book, and I was like, when I finished it, I was like, oh yeah, I've written a book, And then I read through like I think 3 chapters, and I went, wait, no, that ain't right. And so it was a lot of like when I put 70. No, I put 180 hours into the first draft. I have it all like written down, like every hour that I spent, minus a couple of me staring at a screen. Like I paused it when I was just staring at the screen, doing nothing. But yeah, I think getting to the end of that, and then it was slightly disheartening. I knew it was coming, but even so, it was just like it was just slightly like wish I'd have thought of that before. You know what I mean?
So is the plan to publish this book and get it brought and
Hopefully,
that kind of stuff?
hopefully, yeah. I've got the next 5 books planned in terms of like not necessarily the same series, but I've got like the next 5 books that I want to write planned. Um,
Uh-huh.
so I kind of want to. This book, I'm expecting to have to self-publish it. If I'm honest, I would like to get it traditionally published, but it's the first of a 3 to 4 part series, which generally doesn't sell as well as like standalone books, especially for debut authors, just because which kind of makes sense because when you're going for a series, there's a lot of, by the end of the first book, there's a lot of open ends, you know what I mean? And for a debut writer, you kind of have to take into consideration this reader isn't used to your style of reading, they're not used to your voice. So they need to see something that's taken them from the start to the end, and they've been entranced by it before you can take them to something that starts, stops, starts, stops, start. You know what I mean? Like it's a long. I mean, the book that I'm writing now, by the time you get to the final book and the final scene in the final book, it's been like 20 years. I think you see about 20 years of time between these characters. So I think trying to get people to commit to that with my first ever book, it's like the first book's 111,000 words in the first draft. The second draft is looking like it's going to be more.
How does that
equate to page wise?
Sorry,
it's in terms of pages.
Yeah. Or just in terms of like I don't know, what books have I got around? How would it compare with like that?
It would be slightly bigger than that. It'd be ever so slightly bigger than that, depending on like. I mean, there's a lot of variables in like your font size and all of that kind of stuff, but it's around about 300 odd pages ish. But I've written it on like A4, so it's like 80, 90 pages, 100 and something pages. I can't remember now for the life of me.
So then, is it the case that the risk to the reader is basically having their time wasted because they haven't seen you do something from start to finish? They could start this book and you might not write another one because you haven't.
It could be that, or I could just deliver a very poor story, because it's like watching like a student film versus someone who's had a lot of experience with film and has a lot of budget. Because like for my book, I won't have. There's quite a lot. Like there's a feedback loop that you kind of, in my head at least, would work for me that I can't access as of yet. Because right now I've spent 7 months writing the first draft, and I'm the only person that's fully read the book. And when you're a bit better, well, when you've actually got publishing, when you've got an agent, you're constantly back and forthing it with this person and that person, and there's a lot more interaction between people, and it's like a lot of they're called beta readers, so like people that read the book before it's anything at all. Trying to get like people that aren't going to well, essentially aren't going to blow smoke. You know what I mean? And try and actually, because obviously my friends and stuff are like, oh, I really want to read it. There's people that know me that want to read it, but it's kind of more important for people to not know me and read it, because you get a lot more of a like an outsider's perspective, because I can't judge how good the book is because I'm too close to it. And I realised that like quite early on when I was reading parts to my girlfriend, and my girlfriend was like, oh, you know, I don't understand this. And in my head, I'm like, that makes complete sense. What do you mean you don't understand this? But when you actually like sit down and you take it from somebody else's perspective, I've sat with every single part of this for the last 3 years. She's just hearing what I've written that day from that day.
Yeah.
You know, she knows bits and bobs because I talk about it, but like, you know, it's, yeah, there's a lot of the ideal feedback loop would be having, you know, writing a chapter, sending it to someone, leaving them with it for like a couple of weeks, and then carry on writing, and then go back to that when they're doing that, and they can read and just kind of just, because instead of then, you know, every 6 months finding out if what you've written is trash or not, you find out every 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So yeah.
That makes me kind of wonder if there's some platform where writers do that for each other. There's like an exchange, so you're not paying the massive hourly rate of an editor.
Yeah, they do. I think there is like mutual like mutual kind of like reading things that you can join, where you read somebody's and then they read yours, and so on and so forth. Which there's a part of me that's kind of like, I should do that, but I have a really weird like creativity thing. Sometimes when people are really passionate about something I like, it drains the passion out of it for me. And I really don't know why. Like when I went to uni, I was really, because I did film at university. And I was really, really into film. I was really excited to do it. And then I got there and I was talking to people and they were talking about these things. And I was like, oh, how boring is this? Like, it completely drained the love of film for me. I think it was partly because I heard a lot of people being like, oh my God, I love Quentin Tarantino. He's so good. And it's like, all right, you watch Django one time and then you have a Pulp Fiction poster on your wall. Like, he's just a weirdo who likes feet, really. You know, like I don't know how to. Yeah, I don't know. But I kind of struggle with. I suppose I don't think I have a lot of self-confidence in my creativity. I'm very creative, and I know I've got a lot of ideas. But I don't think in my heart of hearts I kind of believe that what I'm doing is actually worth it, like any. You know what I mean? Like, just I don't know if it's just so.
Do you feel that slows you down in any way?
Um, a little bit, a little bit. I think, yeah, a little bit.
Sorry, flipping back to the thing about if people are passionate about it, it can drain your energy. In the context of if you had someone who you read their book and they read yours, is it the passion about their own work that would drain you, or the passion about your work that would drain you?
I think it would be no. I think I'd read. I think I'd read theirs, and if it was better than mine, I think I would. It would throw me off massively. Like I really enjoy reading, but I think when I'm reading certain times, when I'm reading other people's stuff, I'm kind of like, like I should be writing my own. I can't like. I don't think I could. I don't think I could honestly commit to somebody else's, to give somebody else an opinion on their work enough for it to be worth me doing them doing it for me in exchange. I don't think it'd be fair, because I think my brain's just kind of like, I'd be reading theirs and being like, oh, I could do that with my, like, you know what I mean? I don't think I could take myself out of it a little bit when I'm reading, like, you know, I don't know, any other book, The Way of Kings. I don't know. Well, yeah. Um, it's a professional writer who's gone through hundreds of stages of editing, and I know for a fact that yes, this is their book, but there's like, there's a lot more input, so I can kind of look at my own work and be like, oh well, you're trying your best. But when other people, if I'm looking at somebody else's work, I don't know, it makes me sound really like petty, but it just, I don't know what it is. It just drains the life out of me.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
With all of this stuff, because so basically, if this session goes well for both of us, we want to continue, then we'll speak to Mustard, the agency, and Karen doing that. But one of the things I'll do is a lot of this stuff. So I'm absorbing information right now, but a lot of my processing happens afterwards, like in the gym. And I'll start to piece parts of you together, and so yeah. Okay, okay. Just want to clear up a couple of things. Then we're going to just go into a few different random directions, if that's right. Do you have any kind of date in mind for when it might be published?
I have a date for when I want it finished, which is September. It was going to be originally July because I wanted it to be because I started writing the original first draft. Well, the first draft I finished at Christmas. I started writing it in July last year. So I wanted it to be July, but I kind of lost motivation having to redo this much stuff. So I ended up not really writing very much. There's such a blank spot between where I was writing, because I was writing for 3, 4, 5 hours every day, and obviously I started working. I was working like really, really part-time before. Now I start work at I think like 10 or 11 depending, and I come back at 4, and I'm quite a tired person anyway. I also have quite a few like I think I have a medical issue with sleep, which I really need to get looked into, to be honest, because I just sleep. I can just sleep for forever. It just, you could. I feel like most people, they can lie down and have the right hours. They get up in the morning and they can go about their day. You wouldn't want to. You wouldn't necessarily get back into bed and fall straight asleep like you're awake at that point. I do not have that switch in my body. I just sleep and sleep and sleep and could do. It just doesn't. Sleep just doesn't ever seem to touch me really. Which is, yeah, it has taken a toll on my creative, creative output, because I don't know, I'm just genuinely exhausted all the time, and it makes me feel a bit crappy because I think, I think there's a part of me that thinks it's just an excuse, but then there's a part of me that's like, I am exhausted. Like, I physically cannot. I do not want to stay awake. I am tired. But
so obviously, in life coaching, sleep features quite a lot, because there's almost no goals or objectives or lifestyle choice that wouldn't benefit from someone having effective sleep and being super awake.
Yeah.
So that's something we'll probably drill into quite a lot.
Yeah, good.
And I don't know how much you've already drilled into it, but there's obviously several factors. There's psychological aspect, there's the physical aspect, boring things like having a pitch black room and timings of screen time and stuff like that. There's medical factors. Obviously, that's a bit above my pay grade, the medical side, but quite often medical things can just disappear when everything else is aligned. Like, human body's quite good at fixing itself, and we're quite good at poisoning and battering our body with foods we haven't evolved to eat and lifestyles we haven't evolved to survive. so yeah. And it's also quite good because it gives us, I don't know, something to get our teeth in. Because if we can improve that, that's not an easy win in terms of it might not be easy to improve, but it's a clear win. If you are having twice as many hours a day of productivity, I mean that just
Sound.
Yeah. Uh, what were we? How do we even get into the sleep thing? What? I've lost my original thread. Do you remember what we were chatting about a second ago?
Nah, I'm the
No.
wrong person for that kind of stuff. I'm not gonna lie.
Luckily, we've got it on
I'm
video, so
sensitive, so
at the end we'll be like, "Ah, yeah,
yeah,
that's what we were
100%,
talking about."
100%.
Um, okay, cool. One final question on book, and then we'll probably leave book stuff for now. But that's presumably your. If you were to continue with life coaching, that's presumably like the end goal is specifically to get that book finished, published, sold, people reading it, people giving you
Yeah,
feedback, like be
yeah,
in the system
yeah.
basically.
I think if I were to give like an ultimate like an overall kind of no, I don't know if life. Yeah, I'd say a life goal. I think my goal is to be able to sustain myself off of writing alone. I want to be able to
Right.
just like I'm not a particularly extravagant person. I don't really need, you know, I don't really care about being ultra mega super duper rich. You know, I'd be quite happy to just be able to afford to buy myself a house one day and not have to worry about the bills. You know, just like the absolute bare minimum of wealth kind of thing. Like it just like in terms of I say bare minimum of wealth. The bare minimum of wealth is being able to put food on the table and eat and live. But like the bare minimum of a good life, if you get like you know, um, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah,
Whose
that's
goal isn't that at the end of the day? You know,
the thing I've found and other people have found, and I'm not saying I'm massively successful, but there's amounts of money I earn that before I earned them, I thought, God, if I just had that swishing around a bank account, that's all I'll ever care
yeah,
about. But when it actually comes to it, you're like, oh, that's not very much. What if this happens or that happens or I have some major medical emergency? It's just not enough. So, so you say that now whilst you don't have it, but as soon as you have it, you might find that there's just a new goal comes up.
100%. And I'm more than happy for that to happen. If I'm
Oh,
completely honest, I
yeah.
would rather have so much money that I realise that it's useless than not have enough and realize and hope for it my whole life. You know, I think it's partly because like I think it's partly just because I saw my parents kind of struggle most of my childhood. They always kind of yeah, like we weren't by any means like bad off. You know what I mean? But I think you know my dad works. My dad like worked in like Afghanistan. And, like he wasn't a soldier. He was an engineer. He fixed air conditioning units, but he had to go out there to make the amount of money that he needs to make. And like he provided us, you know, my parents provided us quite a nice life. Um, but they it wasn't like it wasn't easy to do so. And I think I'd kind of want to be on the same like I'd like to live that kind of lifestyle. Like you know, you buy your switch, buy near enough anything you want. You know, we didn't go on extravagant holidays or anything like that. You know, we went to a caravan in Wales most of the time, and but they like even to just keep that kind of lifestyle, they kind of struggled. And I think in my eyes, being able to just wake up every morning and know that the bills are paid and know that you know I can go outside and I don't know I can go take my family out for a meal and just pay for it and not really think oh god that's my entire money for the month gone that's that no I don't know I don't really care about holidays I don't really care about um clothes I like shoes, but I buy like one pair of expensive shoes every like couple of years because I find that they last longer. So I end up buying like I just buy a pair that I really like and I splash out a little bit. Um, but I'm not. I don't know. I'm just not really very particularly extravagant. I don't think.
I mean, that kind of gives a clear goal for the time being,
Hmm.
and if in the future that goal changed, but basically to be able to support yourself comfortably through writing.
Yeah.
That's basically where we're at, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
Um, what do you reckon your kind of ideal day to day would look like? And I mean, in terms of a day where you're being productive, not like on the beach or,
Sleeping. No. I think ideal day. Well, I'd wake up first of all. That'd be great.
be a good
Yeah, yeah,
start.
great start. Oh man, that's a really good question. I'd like to sit down and have breakfast with my girlfriend. I love my girlfriend, so I think she's great fun. So I quite like eating breakfast with her. Um, I'd like to say if I in an ideal world, if I was mentally all in the right place and everything, I think it would be wake up, have me breakfast, go to the gym, sit down and chill for a little bit, write for 3 hours or so, just sit and write for a bit, read for a couple of hours in the evening, play like an hour or so of some game, and then just sit and watch a film and go to sleep. Uh, pretty. I think that's just yeah, pretty basic to be fair. Like,
Um, what do you reckon the most in a keeping a day kind of close to ideal?
mm,
What's the most number of hours of writing you reckon you could do before it was uncomfortable?
now,
Well, let's say maybe now, but in the futuristic ideal day.
uh, before it gets uncomfortable.
Sorry, was your answer that you gave before, was that about now or was that a future
That
kind
would
of
be
answer?
like a future. That would be the
Okay.
ideal. Just
Yeah.
wake up in the morning, eat my breakfast, go to the gym, come home, read a bit, write a bit, read a bit, play a bit, watch a film, go to bed. I think realistically, the gym is a 50-50 point for me at this point. I got in really good shape a few years back, and then I kind of just let it go a bit. Um, I just got lazy. I just found no passion in it. I found no love for it anymore. But ideally I'd write. But even then, I think I'd end up once I'm going. I think I'd end up writing for 4 or 5 hours, just off of you know if I'm actually writing, as in not do, what I'm doing right now is outlining. If I'm not outlining and I'm actually just writing the story, I don't really like. I can just keep going and going and going and going. Really, it doesn't. It's not like a. I find it quite fun, so I don't really find it very taxing. Right now, I'm outlining, which feels like homework. So it's so much more taxing. When I'm actually writing the story, I can write like 1,000+ words a day without a thought. You know what I mean? And then depending on how long I obviously spend, but if I spend 3 hours, an hour, 3 hours, I'll probably get 1,000 words done. Um, Roundabout, probably.
And presumably, as you're doing other stuff, ideas are just coming in your head and
Oh yeah,
being played around with.
yeah. I never stop coming up with ideas. To be honest with you, I read this book like near the beginning of Christmas called The Creative Process, um, or the creative act is what it's called. But it basically talks about like, or at least the way I perceived it was that imagine like creativity is like a stream. I don't know why I'm doing it above my head because the stream's down here, but like a stream, and then you kind of, without warning, your head's just dipped into the stream of creativity. and you need to be ready to receive whatever it's willing to give you. It just kind of like hits you for a bit and then leaves again. And I quite like that visual image of it being kind of that stream that you tap into for X amount of time. But I think I'm quite privileged in the way that my brain works, because I think I'm always in that stream. I'm kind of constant. I mean, I've got the next 5 books. Yeah, 5 books planned. But even after that, I've got 6 or 7 more ideas that I could flesh out in a day. You know what I mean? And I'm constantly got ideas. I'm never out of an idea. I can make something out of nothing in moments. Really, it sounds really big-headed. That sounds really, really big-headed.
Um, I mean, ideally, what we want is accurate information as you see it. And the reality is, some things we're good at and some things we're bad at. And it's not necessarily the case that if we're saying something we're good at, we're being arrogant. And it's not necessarily the case if we say something we're bad at, we're beating ourselves up and being pessimistic. Like, we're good at things and we're bad at things. So, yeah. I'm pretty much good at everything, but I think a lot of people have weaknesses. So,
Yeah, no, same. No, I'm great. Yeah, brilliant.
um, do you know what you want people to get out of your book or reading your stuff?
Oh, that's a really good question. Oh, wow.
So just to put more pressure on this question, because we've talked about a lot about what you want to get, but we haven't really talked about what you want to give. And the universe seems to have a good way of making us balance those two things. So
yeah,
if you can't, we'll talk about it now, but it might be something for you to work on as well.
yeah.
After this,
I think I want to give people the experience that I had when discovering storytelling as a whole, because like I remember the first time I ever really, really like felt a film, and it was Ray, with what's his name, Jamie Foxx as Ray. And it's about Ray Charles, the jazz.
You sure it wasn't Kill Bill?
No, it was Ray. I'm sure it was Ray. And it was this one moment, and his brother's like drowning or something like that. And I remember being so emotionally like, oh my god, there's no way this is happening. I can't believe. And I think now I think I did film at uni, as I said, and when you're looking at a medium like film, there's a lot of restrictions due to budget and Hollywood, basically. But I think now that I've kind of found writing and books, I started reading. First and foremost was Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson, and it completely changed my perspective on what story could be and how you could kind of go about seeing it. And I think that's what I want to give. I think that's what I want to give people. I want to give people that almost like freedom when you read something and you just go, like, your brain just explodes with, whoa, that's so cool. And you can see it in your head. And, I want to get people excited. I want people to be excited, and I want them to feel something. I want to be able to make people feel something. And I think for me, obviously I've done modeling and acting now for I've not done lots of acting, to be fair, but I've done I think I started in 2019 modeling. But for me, I love it. I really enjoy it. But it feels slightly soulless to me, just because I don't feel like I'm able to give anything to it. It's like I'm just there more than anything. Like, I did a little bit of acting and stuff like that, and it's a little bit different because you feel like you can give something to the audience. You can give them a feeling. You can give them you can give them something. Whereas I think that modeling, sometimes it feels a bit just like you're a mannequin that walks around. And yeah.
When so I've got a couple of questions. I'm just going to make a couple of notes. I don't want to forget my
Yeah, yeah,
questions.
go.
Okay, so that film, which I might be misphrasing, but opened your eyes to storytelling where the brother was
Mm.
drowning. What emotion did it give? What was the emotion? Okay, it was a strong one, but
It
what was it?
was absolute horror, which is a weird kind of uh, exaltation, if that's the word that I'm looking for. Like, I was so horrified by what I was seeing on the screen. I was so shocked that I never forgot it, and I never forgot watching it. I never forgot the moment where I could stand in the exact same place in my house where I stood and um you know and watched that bit happen. And I think that's such a exclusive thing to storytelling, because, like, when you go and if you sit with an old person for long enough and they start telling themselves about things about their life, you could take them to that place and they could tell you exactly what happened there and why it happened and who was there. And I think to be able to do that within a story or to a story, like for me, I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and I think I was driving to go get some shopping the one day, and I was listening to this part in a book, in the Mistborn book actually, and to this day, every single time I drive past it, there's just a little like, this is where it happened. This is where it happened. And I think the ability to do that in a setting that's so far detached from reality, at least for fantasy purposes, is just fascinating to me. I think that's the coolest thing in the world, really. I think stories is humans. There is no humans without stories. Everything we do is a story. All the knowledge that you have is a story. All the memories in your brain is a story. It's all a story. And yeah.
So, um, when you want to give people, feelings through stories, I assume that you're not talking about just horror, like the horror in that other scene. You
Nah.
just mean
I think there's an element of, I don't know, I quite like the, not specifically horror things, but the things that make you go, it's it's that moment you find out the person's cheating. It's the moment when the person finally realizes they're in love, or the baby's finally born, or something like that. It's that pivotal moment within a story that changes everything, and you watch that butterfly effect kind of happen in real time, because it happens to us every day. Every conversation, every decision that you make is you know it changes everything. Really, everything you do changes near enough everything else you do. But in film and stuff like that, you see the immediate repercussions of these things. I don't know. I think it's just fascinating. I'm just fascinated by it all. I think now being able to be in a medium where in novels where I'm not restricted at all by a budget. I'm only restricted by if I can describe it, and if the person can then confer, like, make that in their head. And I think there's a quote that Brandon Sanderson has at like the end of some of his books. It's not a quote, it's something he says. But he says, "I wrote this book for X, Y, or Z, but once you've read it, it's yours." And I think that's the beauty of storytelling for me, because I could watch the same film as you, and you would walk away going, "Oh, that was awful. That was absolutely terrible," and I'd walk away going, "Wow, that was the best thing I've ever seen." And I think that, I don't know, I think I'm just obsessed with that a little bit. If you can't tell, I've just chatted an hour about the same thing. Sorry.
I have an issue when I'm watching films. I can't remember people's names, and it ruins a lot of films. They're like, "Oh, it means Sarah did it," and I'm like, "Oh, which one was Sarah?"
Yeah.
It used to be that if they showed the person's face or flashback, I was like, "Oh, that's
Yeah.
Sarah." But watching a film the other day, I can't remember what it was, but they showed the person. I was like, "Oh, I already can't remember anything about that person." So it's like dementia setting in. Well, maybe it's the right time, but
Nah,
yeah.
it's. But I think that's again though, like, I think the stories that you are forced to remember, there's parts of stories that, because even for yourself, like if you watch something that really like hit home for you, if there was something that you were like, "Oh my god, this is it," you would remember it, just because it's like everybody Harry Potter. Like McGonagall is not a main character. Everyone knows who Professor McGonagall is. You know, Snape isn't Harry Potter, but everyone knows who Snape is, because those stories connected with people so much that you understand the entire world. I mean, it helps that there was, films.
So I think you're saying two things. One, it's not my fault if I can't remember
No,
characters. It's the film writer's fault. They should have been more memorable.
always.
Um, so here's a slightly harder question. And again, one doesn't have to be necessarily answered now, but at some point is worth pondering. And by the way, from what you said, I think I already have I think I already have what your answer is, but it might be that you don't know what your answer is
Okay.
yet. But yeah, so with stories making people feel stuff, and being memorable and impactful and all that stuff, how does that actually benefit people? What's the benefit of that? What service is that to humanity, other than that immediate enjoyable pleasure? What longer term benefit does that have?
I think it allows people to understand one another slightly better. I think there's like a level of, I think the world's not a nice place particularly. I don't think that people are particularly nice, and I think it's really easy to obsess yourself in your own everything, you know. And there's that sense of, when people kind of go, "Oh well, somebody else has got it worse than me," and it's like, well, yeah, but that doesn't necessarily negate your problems altogether. You know, it doesn't mean that just because somebody else is, their dad died and their mum got shot, and and you're having a bad day at work because the systems went down at 2:00. You know, just because your bad day isn't comparatively worse than theirs doesn't necessarily make it any less. And I think with stories, you can then look at somebody else's life that's terrible and just be like, oh, what a great story. This was fun. Instead of comparing yourself to somebody else. And I think in terms of benefits at least in my experience, benefits for myself is being able to see how other people may potentially see a situation helped me a lot. And I think I learnt so much as a kid from the films and stuff like that I watched, and a lot of that. Jim Carrey was like one of those guys for me that when I was younger and I was watching him do stuff, it was like, there's a different world out there. I don't know. I think it just expands your mind. I think it expands your knowledge of just your little world. You know, I think you may think your world's massive and you are the biggest thing in it, and I think it's humbling and what's the opposite of humbling, I suppose.
Hmm. Puts you at the center. I don't know if I can think of
Yeah,
a word.
like yeah, I think it's humbling. It's humbling in the right ways, in the sense that you can see where other people are coming from. You can see somebody else's life that you may never normally get exposed to. Um, and it's also kind of nice because it can put you in the center, where it's like, well, this story doesn't exist. I can focus on me at the same time as enjoying this random person's troubles. It's. I think people enjoy misery sometimes. That's the reason that love stories and like Romeo and Juliet. It's the same reason Romeo and Juliet will always be a thing and always be known, is because people love a bit of misery. You just eat it up. Human beings as a whole will find any reason to complain. Any reason, like if you listen to people, they will find any reason to complain. Even when it's their fault, it will be absolutely their fault, and they'll be like, oh, I can't believe this would happen to me. I cannot believe this. People just love a moan. And I think being able to moan about something that isn't necessarily your life, for me at least, is quite nice. I don't know if I've gone on a mad tangent there, to be fair. I think I may have. I think I started off
So,
quite direct.
so I think one of the things with life coaching is I work on basically a document which has all sorts of information about the coachee, and lots of it is pre-structured. So we're trying to get a whole bunch of things to line up in our life. We've Some of the questions I've been asking have been directing around this kind of alignment matrix, which I know I'm pointing at the screen like you can see it, and you obviously can't, but you will get to see that at some point. Um, but anyway, where I'm indirectly going here is one of the things that I'm feeling at the moment that I want to have on this document for you to use it or not use it as you see fit. But to have, I guess, defined, and that's a bit boring to do that, but have defined exactly what you want people to get out of reading your book. Because I wonder, because I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, that these questions you haven't necessarily formally sat down and thought about before.
Mm.
And I feel like, and yeah, this is a massive guess, so correct, I'm sure I'm wrong, but I feel like your book was written by around what's cool and what's fun and what storylines make you tick and stuff. Or were you thinking about what you wanted the readers to get out of it?
I think I wrote, yeah, first and foremost, I wrote it for myself. But I think in saying that, I have to add the fact that even if none of my books got published, even if I never made a penny from it, I would still write. Um, and I think for me at least, there's an aspect of, yes, I do want this to be my career. Yes, this is something I want other people to enjoy. But if I don't enjoy writing it, if I don't enjoy doing it, nobody else is going to enjoy it, because you can tell when somebody is doing something that has no heart. I think you need to be, I think, at least for me, I need to be more excited about the project than I am about other people getting their hands on it. Because a lot of the time, and a lot of projects, a lot of people probably won't get their hands on it, and they probably, some projects where I'll spend 300 hours on, and it won't ever see the light of day because it just doesn't work as a story. But if I like it, then I don't mind spending 300 hours on it because I enjoyed it. I enjoy that story. I like that. Um, so as much as I'd like to say, I write because I want other people to feel stuff. I write because I want this, that, and the other. The truth of the matter is, I write because I find it cool. I write because I want to read cool stuff. I love a good fight scene in a book and a film and you know, whatever it is. I love a good fight scene. I love a good bit of gritty violence. You know, I love a bit of you know, like forbidden love kind of thing. I love all of that. I don't know why. And I think for me, if I don't care about it, if it's something that I'm like, oh, right, okay, I think this will sell. I think this will do really well in stores. I think that's when I've sold my soul. That's when I die, because I've given up enjoying myself. You know, there's that whole thing of sorry. There's that whole thing of if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Well, if I love what I write, I'll write regardless of the money that I make. And I think that's important, really.
I once spent years on a programming maths, the artificial intelligence project,
Right.
Which went, in the end, absolutely nowhere. But don't regret a second of it.
No.
I loved it. Yeah, so I guess, just to be clear, I'm not suggesting this section in this document is about pandering to the people or selling out, but just crystallizing the parts which excite you about the feelings. But I guess I want in that section it to logically tie into how that does benefit people, just so that so I'm gonna do some talking.
Okay.
So one of the things with, and by the way, this is all just my thoughts, it could all well be wrong, but when we were evolving, we kind of had fairly clear purpose, usually to do with our direct village and our family and survival of the winter and stuff. We function very well with purpose, and nowadays a lot of that is taken care of. We're not super focused on surviving the next winter, and I think the lack of purpose in people subtly creates I guess what people these days call mental health problems, or being sad, or just not feeling fulfilled, and all that kind of stuff. So one of the things I like to do, is if people have stuff they're passionate about and good at, is tie it into a purpose which serves humanity. Now, I'm not expecting people to go around the whole time thinking, how is this serving humanity? But I think by being aware of that, or the possibilities of that, we'll access just a happier life. Because I know, and yeah, I'm probably breaking rules of life coaching here by kind of contradicting and saying too much, but I know you say about writing because it's cool and you love it, but those are pleasures, and that's great. I absolutely want life of pleasure and fun stuff and cool stuff. I know I do all that stuff. But if we can tie it into purpose as well, I guess my point is, pleasure and fun and cool stuff doesn't make us happy for 100 years on this place. Like it's nice and it's luxury and it's fun, and not having any of that would be awful. But yeah, I'm keen to at least academically tie it into purpose. That was the first half of our initial chat. The second half will be coming soon to a YouTube server near you. He did not want to become a ninja, which was an unexpected surprise, and instead wishes to become an author. It's actually an exciting objective to take a currently unpublished author to the stage where they are published and people are reading their books and hopefully getting a lot out of them. It will be fun to see where this goes.